Welcome to DHN. I'm Wade Teamer, back with another XDC update. Digital asset custodian Propine has introduced support for the Fathom XDC stablecoin, which we know is native to the XDC network. So this is going to have some pretty interesting layers to it. Can't wait to share it with you. I'm going to break it down to you in simple terms because a lot of these companies are not truly established and you may not have heard of them. But the relationship between XDC and Propine goes back a number of years. We're going to break into it. Before we get into that, though, let's just read out these details. It's a very short article. Shout out to Crowdfund Insider for keeping it simple for us. So, Monetary Authority of Singapore regulated custodian Propine has announced its support for Fathom's XDC stablecoin, a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar and designed to bridge the $5 trillion trade finance gap. The development positions XDC at the forefront of real-world assets, leveraging the power of blockchain to enhance global trade finance operations. So, for starters, let me show you what they're talking about. This is Fathom Fi. This is a major player, quite possibly my favorite player in the XDC ecosystem, mainly because of this setup right here. They have their own governance token, which allows you to interact with the protocol itself, help make decisions, things like that. But it's the XDC stablecoin, which is pegged to the US dollar, and it's going to be the main channel, their intention at least, for all of the trade finance funding, or the majority of it, that takes place on the XDC network. So with Propine, which is a major licensed crypto custodian, introducing or bringing in Fathom into their offering, that means that all of the customers for Propine will be able to access the Fathom dollar as well. So it's an interesting arrangement being put in place here. And like I said, this relationship between XDC and Propine actually goes back quite some time. You see, back in 2022, the platform joined forces with Propine and their on-chain custody services. And in this relationship, they mentioned that in the press release, they stated that the partnership would allow the XDC ecosystem to see security and fully compliant and insured custody service together with layered governance and security practices built for safe maintenance and delivery. Under the agreement, Propine has developed a software solution and integrated it with Zenfin to serve blockchain users. Now, what is that software solution, you might be wondering? Well, let's hop on over here under list of partners for the XDC trade network. You can see it nice and pretty. That's Propine. And what they will be integrated into is Propine's Protect TM solution, offering atomic settlement on the XDC network to provide businesses a faster, more efficient, and cheaper cross-border payment experience. Now, atomic settlement is just a fancy word for instant payments, and we're seeing this everywhere, including the traditional space. Juniper Research just published a report a couple days back saying that instant payment transactions could surpass 58 trillion worldwide in the next 4 years. When you get deep into the documentation on the XDC network, yeah, settlement time is near instant. Blink of an eye, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the whole atomic settlement thing is. It's the fastest form of settlement that you can possibly find. So what we're seeing is a collaboration with XDC, Propine, and the XDC stablecoin. And there's an optional service here, the Protect TM software. So let's just say a company does want to get involved and they want to custody some XDC. They can go to Propine, which will offer them this Protect TM software. They say, hey, if you want to deal strictly in digital securities, we got a software built for that. The company would then make use of the software, which would give them access to the XDC stablecoin. Now, unless they ask the question, 9 times out of 10, they may not be aware that the underlying blockchain ledger is the XDC network, but us investors will. That's key, guys. That's something that I've really been meditating on, is that relationship. If you look at my community tab, I posted a graphic that I think you'll be very interested in. We'll talk about it later though, because there are some other connections here. Because Propine, as we covered, was registered Monetary Authority of Singapore. So that means they have heavy rank over in Singapore. And you want to know what else Singapore is doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, since we're on the subject of stablecoins? Well, see, when it comes to regulation, they are one of 4 countries with deliberate fiat-backed stablecoin regulation. This is very important. I believe it was last week, Friday, I posted the video about the stablecoin regulation discussion over here in the United States, and how if that does get ready to hit the market, the impact that it could have for certain assets that are heavy in the payments market. We'll see with XDC, they're looking to use stablecoins in the realm of trade finance. Fortunately, in Singapore, they've already released their framework, and it permits stablecoins as a medium of exchange and link between the fiat and digital asset ecosystem. So the clearance is already there for this entire connection to be magnified, right? On top of that, we have to think about the reality of, let's just say it happens here in the United States. There's a product running on XDC called the USTY, and one of the biggest funding channels is the FXD stablecoin. So you can look at it like this. With Propine, there's a regulated custodian that I do not see why they wouldn't want to recruit a US customer. They can now interact with that USTY, have a regulated custodian, get access to a US Treasury product that is also tokenized on the XDC network. That US Treasury product, that fund is managed by BlackRock. Let's not forget that. So very interesting setup, especially when you consider other discussions that are happening in the space right now, especially around stablecoins, EU publishing draft rules for stablecoin issuer compliant procedures. On top of that, let's just look at where Propine likes to aim at when it comes to their clientele. Talking about banks here, family offices, corporates, exchanges, protocol foundations. Now that's a very interesting one. When I read that, it kind of gave me the idea of, let's say you're starting a new project and you want to set aside funds for your foundation or for a foundation that can be used to kind of promote, develop, engage with the rest of the industry, that type of setup. So that's a very interesting leg of everything, guys. So it's very obvious that Propine is very deep in the weeds. They have good relationships, and one of their relationships really threw me for a loop when I discovered it, because it again connects back to XDC. Talking about Stasis, ladies and gentlemen, October of last year, Stasis partnered with Propine to securely custody its EURS stablecoin. This is one of the most popular stablecoin offerings right now. Funnily enough, though, you'd be surprised what package this was going to be included in. So it states that Stasis will deploy Protect TM's platform, Propine's hyper-secure battle-tested custody solution, to store and safely manage their assets. The fulfillment of Stasis's trading requirement for EURS will be accomplished through Daneries, a trusted partner of Propine, which holds an exemption under the Payment Services Act granted by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So the software in this equation is the Protect platform, which, thanks to Propine, has been integrated with XDC network functionality. In this particular case, Stasis has gone to a third party in order to facilitate, to have the legal clearance in that particular area. There's always so many moving pieces to it, but that's why I love crypto. I wanted to highlight that arrangement, though, to give you a better understanding of what happens really when we see headlines like this and these partnerships. Now, in addition to that, I just want to show you this situation here. Stasis brings the largest Euro stablecoin to the XDC network. This was a little over a year ago, ladies and gentlemen, and I just find how it all connects to be very interesting, and it made me go back over to see what the updated numbers were, because when they made the announcement, we first went over to Stasis, numbers were very small. But ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, Zenfin is moving up the ranks here when it comes to holders of the EURS. And you can see Ethereum still maintaining the top spot next to Polygon via a third-party bridge. Don't worry, we'll circle back to that in a second. And then we have Zenfin, Algo, Stellar, XRP, Arbitrum, and Gnosis Chain. Not a lot of activity on these other chains yet, but I can guarantee you, once these stablecoin regulations, paperwork, bills get signed officially around the world, this is where all of this is where the floodgates are. right here, Zenfin, Algo, Stellar, XRP, Polygon. These are the floodgates, ladies and gentlemen, because Ethereum is already close to capacity. You know, they're not going to be able to handle it all. So there's going to be some more. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Solana up there. But I want to bring your attention to this right here. Users have the option to bridge EURs to these blockchains at their own discretion. Please be aware that this process occurs through third-party services, and Stasis shall not assume any responsibility or liability for the security of bridge tokens. Users have the option to bridge these blockchains at their own discretion through a process that occurs through third-party services. Really want to highlight that, because that again shows off what players are involved when we see partnerships like this. Now, in the short term, we'll probably see a lot of the activity once it begins hitting the system on FathomFi's app. This is where you can look at their analytics, see what money is coming in and from where, the number of transactions. I'll tell you, I looked at this last night and saw, where were we? Yeah, a little bit of an uptick here. This little piece here, I looked at that, but it has retraced a little bit. Volume's looking good though. Let's see, on the daily, volume's looking decent. So again, big news when it comes to Fathom, the XDC ecosystem. Very powerful custodial player in the network. It'll make me want to buy some more for sure. And when I do, I use Uphold. As a matter of fact, if you want to get involved with their new feature called Baskets, where you can invest into multiple assets at once, you can use the link in the description. It'll take you right to where you need to be to get you set up. And after you do that, I would advise taking that crypto and moving it over to a hardware wallet, a wallet that I use, SafePal X1. They're a channel partner, and that means I do get compensated if you decide to use the link in the description. So I thank you in advance. With that, it's time for the best part. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.